Hey there, thanks for coming to my next stream. Really appreciate you being here. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but they're mowing the lawn right outside my window. So like right as I was starting to stream. So I think they've gone off, but hopefully that doesn't become an audio distraction. But anyway, moving on. Appreciate you being here. Really does mean a lot to me. It gives me all the warm fuzzies every time I see people watch any of these, and I like it. So thank you, appreciate it. So just a quick recap where we're at. So this video and the next live stream, I'm gonna do my last bits on just a couple of my trips. There were 3 trips that I want to talk about just to warm up into the channel. Next Monday, the next Monday stream at 6 o'clock is when I'm going to be making a huge announcement on the channel and also really getting to what the channel is actually going to be about. This is just my warm-up stuff. So as far as warm-up stuff goes, let me jump right into it. So I was in Greece let me see if I can, there we go, boop. So I was in Greece and we were in Santorini, the first part of the trip, which is what I talked about in the last stream on Thursday for. This stream, I was gonna get into the Isle of Rhodes. So we arrived in the Isle of Rhodes at the end of the last stream. This stream, I figured I'd go ahead and pick up in Lindos. So the Isle of Rhodes is shaped kind of like a football, and the eastern coast, kind of in the middle of the island, there is the second largest town on the island, it's Lindos, and the largest town is called Old City, that's up north, and is probably going to get into a bit of Old City, as well as talking about Lindos. So just do a quick recap. This is a old city. Not Old City, because that Old Town, that's a different place. This place was pretty firmly embedded into, or the architecture, there we go. The architecture of this place is pretty well like this old type construction. Everywhere you go, all the buildings look like they're probably from the 1600s, maybe earlier, but a lot of the interiors were a bit more modernized. So anyway, this was a cafe that we stopped at and got a couple cold drinks, and yeah, just had a nice little reprieve from the sun and just kind of hung out for a little bit. This was on our way up to the castle. So the Acropolis, which is the highest point in the city, there's a castle, and that castle was built in the 1400s, and the inhabitants, the original inhabitants and constructors, I believe, were European, and then it was taken over by the Turks and the Ottomans in, I believe, the 1500s or the 1600s, and then it was reconquered again by Europeans, and I believe the Greeks. So it's basically, so this place has Greek architecture, ancient Greek architecture, old medieval architecture, and then old medieval Muslim architecture, and then now it has a modern Greek flair on top of all that combinedness. So anyway, so this was on the way up to the Acropolis, looking down on the town of Lindos, city of Lindos, whatever. But this was the main market district area, I think. And this is more of a panoramic sweep of the steps going up, and then that was just a cool outcropping I talked about last time. This is a cool little patch of land going up the walkway. There's lots of little peninsulas hanging out everywhere. And then this was the walkway going up into the actual entrance to the Acropolis. And this was the old castle. Top of the stairs was right here. So this is the actual entryway to the castle area. So in this place, this is what I meant by the Europeans built this castle, the Ottomans took it over and renovated it to more their liking. But you could apparently rent donkeys, I forgot about that. But yeah, you could totally like rent a mule and then ride around in a mule, or on a mule, not in a mule. This isn't Star Wars. You could ride around on top of a mule and go up and down these fairly steep walkways that are also kind of long. But I guess I had another nature trail going around the castle that you could take, and we didn't do that. But I did my best to try to get a picture of this, and it doesn't quite show up, but this was an old, it looked like a Viking ship. So this is a carved relief of a Viking ship on the side of the mountain, essentially, that the castle is built out of. And right next to it was a stairway going up. This is pretty much the main entrance. They were still renovating some of it because it is super old and it's starting to come apart. But once you get up there and you get on top and look around, this was the view. So it was really, really something to behold. So it was right out there, just sticking out in the middle of the ocean. It was pretty neat. But anyway, here's more pictures of that. Hope you're entertained. Okay, so there were a lot of ancient Greek artifacts, basically a lot of just stones. Most of the artifacts were just stones, so old rubble. And there was a certain area where it was all being stored. There, basically, you go down a long hallway, and there are these pockets on either side of the hallway that has just all these big stones. And this is probably one of the bigger ones, and you could more legibly see all the writing on it. But these were, I guess, rock areas where these rocks are being staged to be restored and, you know, brought back. Okay, so once you get up to the top area, it really opens up to almost like a labyrinth type area. There was no roof, so I thought it was going to be an interior castle, but it's not. All of it was open air, and it was really just a fortification defense, just a whole bunch of stone walls that was a kind of a defense against the sea, and also a fortification point to help block the city as well. But everywhere you go, there's like all these staircases and winding spots, and this is really hard to photograph, so I'll try to do my best to like walk you through the flow of it, but I tried to do a circular route. This is more up the middle. Actually back here. So the pillars are supporting what looked like used to be a ceiling. So I think this used to be more of the ancient Greek. I think that's what it was. It was ancient Greek, then Europeans built a castle on it, and then it was rebuilt by the Turks or the Ottomans. So anyway, so open air castle is what it is now today. But this is the first landing area that's overlooking a little peninsula that has, I think, a light tower on it, or a lighthouse, not a light tower. Either a watchtower, once upon a time watchtower, or it's an out of commission lighthouse. Not too sure which. But anyway, the area all around this has a whole bunch of old rocks and stage areas for a bunch of stones. The area behind it looks like that used to be covered at one point, but it's all open courtyard now. But I believe this used to be an enclosed area. There was actually a group of people that were wanting to get their pictures taken. So they were trying their best to do a selfie. So I was like, hey, I can take a picture for you if you want. So I snapped a shot at them, or used their camera and took a picture of them. It's like, if you could do me a favor and do the same for me with my phone, then that would be great. Really appreciate it. So they did me solid and took this picture of me. But there was basically a miniature wall, almost like a little landing area, and then you drop down, and then it has this lower level. And I'm not sure exactly what the function of this is, or was once upon a time, but it's a really cool spot to just look out for modern day purposes. And yeah, that's the lookout spot. So it looks like they're renovating a lot of these pillars, and this is more of the newer construction. But the pillars themselves are, you know, they look cool. They look authentic, ancient Greek. But anyway, this is, oh, that's right, they're restoring. So there was okay, I kind of remember this now. So this is actually a house. It wasn't a house. It was I think some kind of a temple to Artemis, Poseidon, one of those folks. But it used to stand there, and I think the architects were trying to rebuild that temple. So I think they had the original blueprints or floor plans or something from somewhere somehow. So they went in and fixed them up. or they're in the process of fixing it up. And the construction materials are not too far away from the site. Hence, there's a great big crane that you can kind of see in the middle of the picture. But this was all, I believe, once open air or a closed roof, an actual room area, and not just an open air type space. But I believe they're rebuilding the wall right here. And there wasn't a tour guide or anything, no literature or information. So I'm just kind of winging it based on my memory from 2018, 2019, whenever that was. But, oh yeah, so this is a picture of a plant. One of my friends, when I first left on the trip, was like, hey, if you could do me a favor and take a picture of like just cool plants, I'd appreciate it. So I have some random photos of just the occasional plant. But yeah, this is more the wall structure. Where it looks like they were taking original bricks and fitting them in where they can. So a lot of castles will have these, I forget what they're called, but it's basically an area where the rock is angled and to a point to where an archer can stand there and shift at different angles to get to be able to fire arrows down. And there were a couple here that had a great view of the city, so I just took a picture of those. And yeah, it just gets a real good feel of what Lindos looks like. Obviously, it's not a huge city. It's kind of a smaller town, but it is a really neat place. I really liked it a lot. I don't know who this took this picture, but there I am. And this is the other side where they have other turrets. I think they're called turrets. And you could look straight down. So this is in between two of those, and bam, there's the fortification that they're trying to guard against. Some bystander was able to take a picture of us so this is the front entrance as you come up and you're going up into the main area. There's a big staircase, and whoever took this photo is in the middle to upper area of that staircase. And we got a couple. And of course, I was being the one oddball that's doing everything wrong. Everybody's facing towards the camera except me. And I didn't realize that they were facing the other way. So that's just me being normal weirdo, I guess. So this is part of the Muslim architecture. So this, I believe, was a temple. I don't remember. I don't think you could get inside of it. I believe this building was condemned because it was pretty sketchy on the structural standpoint. It's pretty old, and I think the mortar is mostly gone, so it's just kind of hanging out. But at least I don't recall being able to go inside of it. But anyway. Oh, yeah, you could totally get inside of it. I remember now. Yeah, there wasn't a house inside. So it was just, the roof had collapsed and it was roped off. So you couldn't go into the most interior portion of it, but you could still see most of the temple from, the other side of that wall, because that whole wall was gone along with most of the ceiling. Okay, so there's this one hallway section where on the right, it was a bunch of archways that they had stored a ton of these loose rocks and things that they're trying to restore. On the left side, there was a staircase that went up to just a round half circle, like bench type area. I thought it looked super cool, but it's clearly where people used to sit and think the big thoughts or whatever. So as my friend Casey doing her pose, she wanted a couple shots. And on the other side, that's Casey's dad. So on the other side of the shot, you can see all these little stone columns or stone pieces that were being restored. But yeah, it was weird. So, okay, a lot of the landscape was a lot of these clearly carved stones, and they were just scattered about what is clearly just a rock, like a stony ground. And this was a courtyard. Like, there was a tree that was growing just off camera. Just to the right, there's a tree that kind of shows the middle. There's a group of people there, and I was trying to crop them out of the photo. But this is almost a 360 around the area. And there are all these little pockets. So I couldn't tell what was being restored and what was old. So I just took a picture of all of it. This was one of the entryway areas where you could see a bunch of those stones. Like one of the earlier pictures, there's that great big cylinder that had all the Greek writing on it. These are more of the rocks that had actual writing that they were able to like salvage and kind of put off to the side. So I'm not sure where they pulled these stones from. I'm not sure if it was part of the actual castle structure and architecture or where it came from. Here's that tree earlier. Okay, so there's no longer a group of people standing there, so I finally got a picture of the tree and us, and I think I met some very nice Russian people. I think it was a couple of Russian ladies that took this photo for us. But I asked them, hey, is there a cheers, or you know, when you say cheers when you're clinking your drinks together, it's like, is there a Russian version? And they were like, oh yeah, you could say this, and it was some like big long like Russian poetry type thing, and I was like, I'm never gonna remember that. But thank you for sharing that, because I remember in Iceland we learned skald. I used to say opa, but I learned in Greece that opa means let's dance, and it doesn't mean let's drink. Gosh, I learned the Greek cheers, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is at the moment. Hopefully for the end of the stream I will remember, or at least hopefully for the end of next stream I will remember what it was. But at the moment it is absolutely eluding me. But anyway, this is on the way down. The what looked like the Viking relief sculpture, you can see it straight ahead, and this is that staircase. Well, the staircase going up, this is now the staircase going down. And I think we're starting to leave Lindos at this point. Oh yeah. So Candace was like just having her own little personal time, like just leaning over the wall, checking in the scenery, and then Casey came up behind her and took a picture of her, so I took a picture of her taking a picture of her. And I just thought it was funny. They laughed when I showed them this picture. But yeah, this is the entrance or exit. We're heading out at this point, and I think we're gonna start going down the road. This is a random group of rocks right next to the castle. Looked neat, so I took a picture of it. Oh, no, it had trees. That was the weird thing. So there are all these trees that were growing up in the middle of this castle area, and that tripped me out because I didn't expect to see something like that. I thought it would have been, you know, not have trees growing inside the middle of the castle, or at least out of the walls next to the castle. But this is another lash. Actually, I think this is where Candace was looking over the ledge and looking down. So that's what she was looking at. This is at the exit on the way out. There's this really cool looking staircase that just went to the bathroom. Also, if you wanted to ride the mules, this is where you went to go ride the mules as well. And this is another shot of the city of Lindos. I'm pretty sure it's a city. It's hard to say because this was definitely one of the more populated areas we were at in Rhodes. We did go to this other section that had a bunch of like clutches of restaurants and buildings together, but it wasn't quite as condensed as this. So the rest of the cities, or the rest of the villages in the Isle of Rhodes, were more scattered. So this is really, really close together. The only other place that was like this was Old Town, and Old Town was probably 4 times bigger, if like 4 to 5 times larger. No, it might be large. No, it's probably bigger than that. It was pretty big size. Old Town is very large. Oh yeah, so we're cutting back through the town because we want to check out the castle on the Acropolis, and then check out all the gift shops because we didn't want to walk around with a bunch of trinkets and whatnot. Actually, I bought this shirt right here. I bought this shirt this day while we were walking around, and I just saw all these like super cool sculptures, and I asked the guy that was there, it's like, hey, is it cool if I take a picture? He's like, no pictures. It's like, oh, really? I mean, it was just for, like, so I could show people, and it's like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. But it was weird. He didn't want us to take a picture, so I took a picture. With his permission. He did give me permission, but it was funny that he was being obstinate about it. But anyway, this was a church. Okay, so there were a couple different churches in the town of Lindos, and most of them were just open. You just walk into them. One of them had like a gift shop type thing inside of it. I don't remember if this was one of them. I think this is just a museum of what it used to look like to live in Lindos in the 1800s, I believe. Like late 1800s, early 1900s. And I believe it was Turkish controlled at that point. But this is a bunch of the Turkish culture or Muslim culture that was the influencing portion of this particular section. And then Turkish coffee table. This is actually just a museum where you walk around. Fun fact, that floor is not a rug, that's just stones. So a bunch of stones that are glued together, which is called something. Is that a relief? No, not a relief. Forget the name of it. There's an artsy-fartsy word for it, and that's what this floor is. But anyway, collage? No, not a collage. Maybe it is a collage. It's a stone collage that people walk on. This is the entryway. There we go. So this is the entryway to that building, and I believe it was a temple. It's a place where somebody used to live. It was a place where a Turkish Ottoman type person used to live. Okay, so this is inside that bar earlier that we walked past, and this is us enjoying like fresh squeezed orange juice, and it was absolutely delightful. So we got more, and we also had a couple beers along with it. But the ambiance in here was just super nice, and it's the only bar I've ever been in where the bar was just a tunnel, and it felt great because Greece is super hot, and this had a nice cross breeze going through it as like general air conditioning. On the other side, so that doorway right there is leading out to more of the market area, and this photo is on the other side. So on the other side of the tunnel was this house. So this is just the front of the throughway area. So Greek beer was decent. It was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. It wasn't Icelandic beer. Icelandic beer is gross, but it wasn't like German beer either. German beer is really good. But this is us enjoying our refreshments and trying to like cool down from a hot hike. So this is more of the kind of the back alleyway area where you can go check out all the little shops and everything. And this was super neat. I really wanted to get more of these photos, but it felt like it would have been more of the same if I just kept taking all these different photos. But there was one that we stopped in and they sold artwork. And I think Casey got some artwork. Pretty sure. I know we were looking at it. I broke off from the group and I just found this little trail, and I just got off on my own and just found this little side alleyway. It looked like a goat path or something, just a super narrow little dirt trail that went behind some buildings and up this area. And I thought, it would be a quick little dead end spot, but I just kept going and going and going. And I ended up finding this really cool area. This was near the top of it, but I felt awkward because I think I might have been in somebody's backyard. So I didn't want to take pictures of their backyard. So instead I came out of it, and then this was the alleyway. So this is just a typical like residential area. Like this is just what their houses look like. And I can't imagine what it would be like to live at a place like that. It would just be like living in some kind of fantasy type place. I don't know. It'd just be weird, in a cool way. Like it'd be good weird. It'd be cool. I would like it a lot. So as you're going into more of the heart of Lindos, there was like this donkey rental. So instead of like a cab service area, they just had a donkey service area, and you could hire somebody to like cart around a donkey around town. This was, I think it was just I don't know if that's an actual building. I know it's a bell tower. Obviously it's a tower and there's bells in it. Derp. But I don't remember if you could actually go inside of it. I think this just might be a decorative structure, but the bell is actually functional. So I think there's like an outpost or something. Somehow you can get to the bell to ring the bell. I'm not sure how. I don't remember. I think I used to know, but I forgot since. This is the church I was talking about. So this is a Greek church, a Catholic church, Catholic diocese, I think that's what it's called. If that's a proper term. Greek Catholic. Anyway, here it is. But they had like a little gift shop area, and I think the doorway to the left might have been a spot where you could go do confessionals. Nope, that was the doorway to the left. So whatever that says. I think it might have been a museum. Oh, it was a hanging garden. That's what it was. It was a bunch of plants. Yeah, there's a bunch of plants hanging up inside. It was, you know those fences that have like the wood cross where it looks like little diamonds all up. Anyways, it was basically a bunch of those walls with vines growing up it, and it had some plants and stuff inside of it. And I think the lighting was all jacked up and I couldn't get a picture of it. So I think I took a picture of it, hated all of them, and just deleted them. But anyway, so this is going away from the church. I got super lost. All the walkways are super twisty, curvy, windy, and I got lost all the time. But it was fun. It was basically like Marco Polo, trying to find the rest of the party. And then we stopped for a quick little breather. I think they grabbed some coffee because everybody was pretty wiped out. And I just saw a bird sitting on the table. So I took a picture of it. So at this point, we got into the rental car and then started driving all over the roads. And oh my gosh, the roads in Lindos were so great. Or not Lindos, in the Rhodes. So we headed out and started driving. So this is, I don't believe this is in Lindos. I'm pretty sure we left Lindos at this point. And I think this is one of the areas where we just found one of these other like villages. So there are other areas where it's not a dense population, but it is populated. So I think this is one of those pockets of population where there's just some stuff and then some houses and then nothing and some houses and stuff and then nothing. And you just see a lot of that as you're driving around these super cool roads. By the way, if you can drive a manual transmission, I cannot stress enough how much fun this was in a manual transmission. Just don't get the economy car because that thing struggled to get up the hills, especially with 4 people. So if you can get something with a bigger 4-cylinder engine that's still like okay eco economy but not like super small, definitely get that and drive around because the hills are up and down, windy, hard curves, just breathtaking landscapes all over the place too. Which is what we did. So we drive around, we kept seeing all these like really cool open vast landscapes. And we decided finally to pull off in one spot. So we found a spot where we can pull off and then decided to go and like actually check one of these out. And this is some of what that was like. Which, now thinking about it, I guess it looks a lot like Arizona or New Mexico or something like that. But I feel like it's a little bit more lively than those 2 states. But anyway. This is a panoramic shot of, I tried to get a decent enough picture to really do the area justice, but it was really cool just how far out it went and how lumpy. I like the lumpy things. So this I'm pretty sure was a video. So I tried getting a video of us driving around. Oh yeah, it's definitely a video. Oh, can I play this video? Okay, that's a song that is probably copyrighted, so can't really play that. But I kept hearing this song on the radio all the time. When I was driving around in France and Germany, that particular song was always on, and I think it came on when we were driving around in Greece. I was like, oh my gosh, everybody in Europe wants to listen to this song. So I had to get like a little recording of us driving around on these curvy, windy roads and listening to that. I wonder if I can just mute it and show some of what it was like. Yeah, muted. Boom. There we go. So this is a little taster of what it was like. Hopefully that's not giving anybody like motion sickness or anything. I'm not sure how well this is going to transfer over in a stream video or anything like that. Short little clip, but little example of what that looked like. I think we pulled off again and tried to find some other spots to take more pictures of. There was a little road that was cutting through, or it was like I think it was a bike path. So there's a bike path. I remember seeing bikers around this area, like pedal bikers, not motorcycle bikers. And yeah, just more cruising around. I think Candace was driving at this point, and I actually had a chance to not drive, and I could kind of chill out for a little bit and actually take in the sights. I really want to do this in France, especially when I was leaving France or leaving Germany going into France. There's so many really cool shots that I wish I was a passenger and could just take a picture or a video or something of what I was beholding instead of, keeping your eyes on the road and not dying. But yeah, it was just all this really cool, really breathtaking landscape. So at this point, we pulled off because we saw a herd of goats that were crossing the street. So we thought we'd go check it out and see what these goats were up to. So in the process of that, we also found on the left-hand side, you can kind of, I don't know if you can quite tell or not, but that is some kind of an orchard. I believe an apple orchard, probably not. It's probably like a grape or a date. It's probably for dates or something like that. But anyway, I think, oh yeah, so this is definitely somebody's driveway, like going to their farm of whatever kind of orchard that they've got going on back there. So you can kind of see in the middle of the shot through the clearing, there's some kind of like bushes, but they were a bit too organized to just be a pile of plants. So that is some kind of a farm of some type. Maybe it's olives. Or do olives grow on vines? That might be a vineyard. Olive vineyard? Anyway, somebody's tree farm of some kind. Probably harvest something out of it. But anyway, this is more of the goat area. And I think, oh, I did take a picture of the goats. I was trying to find it. But yeah, I took a picture of the goat, but it was super blurry and like the goat was running away and stuff and couldn't quite see it. But I think I just went ahead and deleted it because it wasn't really worth showing. So we finally found a more villagey type area, and this was a vineyard, vineyard. So it was a family-owned business. It's funny, the owner spoke no English. But Casey's dad was like bound and determined to like strike up a conversation with this guy. And he kept talking to this elderly Greek man. And the Greek guy was like, no speak English. But he was so relentless. It was super funny. It was super funny to watch. So, so we pulled off, got a couple bottles of wine, some bottles of olive oil, which was really good. And then we found a restaurant. This is just hanging out at this Greek place. And I think they had some cheese. I think they had some Greek cheese. So just really hard, I forget what it's called. Super duper hard cheese. It's like Asiago, maybe? But usually you shred it and it turns to powder. And then you sprinkle it on what you want. This is trying the olive oil and some of the different wines. We got to do a little mini wine tasting and olive oil tasting, I guess, too, apparently. And their oil bottle was super weird. I've never seen anything like it. But it has this little ring thing, and you pull up that ring and pop it up, and then you unscrew it, and then it pours out. And it's like a can of oil. If you can picture like an old can of Motorola oil or whatever from like the 1950s or 40s or something. That's what it reminded me of. But, and they had some of the local fauna parts hanging out. I don't know why I took this picture. I think it was to show somebody. I don't remember. Yeah, so anyway, just down the way from that bar, the vineyard, there was just this open air restaurant, and they were shouting like "Opa!" and that's what we heard. We heard "Opa!" and then they started dancing. And it was here that we learned "Opa" does not mean cheers. I think that's salute. I think it's salute is cheers in Greek. Might be wrong on that. I might be getting that confused with someone else. But this is a video. I wonder if I can play it. I'm scared. I'll unmute it. See how it goes. Yeah, so these are the owner. These are his kids. So he just have his kids like just break out in song and dance, and they start dancing for everybody like mid-dinner. So this is everybody else just hanging out, like having a good time, watching the show. And it was like a dinner and show. It was super neat. The food there was also really good. I got stuffed on almost nothing. I remember that. I ate like half of my meal and was super full from it. But anyway, this is more Greek beer. This is decently okay. No, actually, this is better than okay. I think I like this one a bit more. But I think some of us ordered fondue. Some of us got like some soup or something. I got okay, so this is like potato ravioli with lamb. I got stuffed. I think I ate like half of it and could not eat anymore. And then that was some kind of a Greek yogurt dipping sauce. And it was really good. Oh, it was so good. So as we were leaving this little villa area, there's a place where you could, wash your hands, hang out, and hit the open road. Actually, no, I think this was like a little rest stop on the way out of town. So, yeah, okay, this area was super bizarre. So it just had these little spurts of civilization. Yeah. Okay, so this is the other side of the street. So this photo right here is a 180 from this church that was out in the middle of nowhere. So there's like nothing around this building. And it was just this really neat building. And at this point, it was starting to get kind of dark, but we decided to stop it anyway. This is actually really low light. I had to kick up the, I think it's ISO. Basically, I had to really brighten up the picture to get this shot. But inside, there are all these, it was like pictures of kids, like a bunch of little kids that were singing. And they had all these candles. And it was just this really, really tiny one-room shrine. And they also had candles that you could place and light as well. And then next to it, a little further down the way, was a park. And I believe those are birds that fan their butt, peacocks. So I think these are peacocks, a bunch of female peacocks. And there's this really big, really old, weird looking twisted tree just hanging out in the middle of it. And I had never seen anything like that before until I went to Florida recently in January. Went to Florida in January, and then I saw some similar trees to that. That there are these big, twisty, trunky trees just in this one little area that I remember seeing. And I thought it was super cool. Okay, so we got super lost. Okay, so at this point we decided to beeline it. No more stops. We're going to head straight towards our destination, which was Old City. So we had an Airbnb in Lindos. So we showed up to Lindos late at night, got super lost, got dinner, passed out, and then left the next morning, toured the Acropolis, the rest of the city of Lindos, and then drove around a little bit. And then from there, we left to Old City to catch our next Airbnb. So we got to Old City super late, and we got super lost in Lindos because there are no addresses. Oh yeah, in Greece, there are no addresses anywhere. So if you want to try to find your way, you have to find out how to get to the post office. That has an address, and then you have to get like handwritten or spoken directions to get to where you're trying to go. And it's super confusing, and we had a terrible time trying to find our Lindos Airbnb. It was a really nice Airbnb. It was just super pain in the butt to find. But this was us trying to get to our Old City Airbnb, and our hostess was super cool, and she, or not just cool, I mean, she was super cool. She was super nice and super helpful. So I downloaded WhatsApp. By the way, if you ever leave the country, get out of America, everybody uses WhatsApp. It's like the way to communicate. So it's basically international text messaging for free. So she was nice enough to hit me up on WhatsApp and coordinate. So we were able to coordinate where to actually go to meet up. And she physically took us to the Airbnb, which I was so glad she did this, because Old Town is a walled castle city. So if you've ever pictured, or ever not just pictured, but seen all these like super old or the medieval movies. If you ever watch any like medieval type fantasy movie and you see this huge castle and then it's got this huge wall going around this massive area and there's this town inside that walled area, this is a real life walled castle city. So all the buildings in this city are encased in a castle. In fact, a lot of these buildings use part of the castle wall as part of their home structure. So it was really something to behold. But we got to go into our Airbnb. The whole place was cobblestoned, and this was definitely the coolest Airbnb the whole trip. So not just Airbnb, just of all the places that we stayed, this was the nicest. So this place is super dope. You can walk through all these different rooms. It was basically like a miniature hotel. So I think it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there were 8 beds. And it had this is one of the bedrooms. Right next to it, hopefully I got a picture of it. Yeah, there we go. It has its own personal like bath sauna type thing, like a little, it's not a swimming pool because you obviously can't swim in it, but that is basically the bathtub, except there's also a shower. This is the outside of the Airbnb, or outside of our room. No, this is inside the room looking out the windows into the courtyard of our Airbnb. We had a walled off Airbnb, or walled off like personal living quarters, and it was so nice. So that's one of the rooms, and then there's a staircase off to the left going up to the rooftop. And just at the base of that staircase on the left, there's a little private sauna for, it's like a 2 to 4 person. Yeah, there we go. So that little building is a sauna. So she told us how to turn it on and use it. I could not quite remember. It had something to do with a bowl, and you pour water onto the rocks inside of the bowl, and you have to flip some switches and wait, and then the water turns to steam. But anyway, that's inside the sauna. Don't remember if we got in there. Yeah, there we go. So I got inside there, and there's the bowl on the left, bowl on the right, and you fill some of them up, and there's a basin, a stone basin in the middle. But it only seats like 2 or 3 people. We really wanted to use it, but we didn't have time, and I really regretted not staying in Old City for at least one more day. Like, I wish we had spent minimum one more day in Old City. It was such a nice place. So this is the staircase going up and heading out on top of the roof. So the other doorway across the way, that leads to the other 2 bedrooms. And those 2 bedrooms have bunk beds. So this is also part of the room that I was staying in. There's another second bed inside the kitchen. Just immediately to the right, there's like the little bathroom where the shower was. This is the other twin room. So there's basically 2 rooms that are joined. The stairs going up leads to the bunk bed up top. But we decided to head out for a little bit and go look for dinner. And this was the city street. It was so cool. It was so awesome. I was so excited. Like, this is... Okay, when I was in France, this is what I wanted to experience in France. Was a super old, like, medieval city where you can hang outside of a old city castle type thing. And that's exactly what Old City was. But it was also Greek cultured with some Turkish flair to it. So neat. It was so neat. All of it was open air as well, except for inside the buildings. And they just had these tarp things covering the walkways. But it felt wonderful out. It was nice and cool and breezy. It was hot during the day, but it had enough ocean breeze, and there's enough of breeze pumping through all these can't even call them hallways, these are streets. There's enough breeze pumping through the streets to be able to get a nice, refreshing feel. We got a map. I wish I had taken a picture of the map. But we got a map of the actual city portion of Old City, and it was basically just a labyrinth catacomb type thing. Well, catacombs I think are underground. But yeah, everywhere you go, it just these cool, long, twisty curves. And this is a super unfocused photo. Sorry about that. This is really blurry. And then, yeah, we get into one of the courtyard areas, and there's just this huge tree, and they lit it up. That was super neat. So, and there was a whole bunch of like restaurants and bars surrounding it, and we ate at one of them. I don't think it was that one. It was this one. Is that the same one? Stoa? Nope, Stoa. We ate at the place on the right. So we went to the place on the right because we were in Lindos. That's right. We were in Lindos, and we were having breakfast, and the guy working the counter was like, we told the guy at the counter that we were going to head to Old City later that night. He's like, oh, if you go to Old City, you have to go to Stoa and tell the owner I sent you. And he told us his name. I forgot. And he told us the owner's name, which I also forgot. Probably wouldn't even share it on here anyway. This is the internet. You never know. It's a weird place. But anyway, we hung out here, and the owner came out and gave us like this special treatment. And it was just an awesome experience. But this was one of the other places that we had considered, and it looked really cool. But I don't think we committed to that one. Now I'm confused. Okay, it's been some years. I don't remember exactly where we stopped. We definitely did outdoor dining. Shoot, did we go to here? We might have eaten here. Or was it Stoa? I don't think it was Stoa. I'm second. Okay, this is a nightclub. I wanted to go here because it was a really cool nightclub. Totally kidding. Totally lied. Sorry, everybody. Just made that up. This is where we had dinner. I wanted to go to the other place to hang out, but by the time we finished dinner, we were all just completely exhausted and wanted to go back and sleep. So we missed out on that really cool looking nightclub, but this place was super nice. All right, so this was Greek ravioli, which was super good. And these are the appetizers. So we got appetizers, Greek ravioli, which I really liked. It had bacon. I couldn't eat a lot of it because of that. But the grilled octopus. So this was fresh grilled octopus, unlike the candied octopus that I had in Santorini. This was caught that morning, so it was a lot more fresh. And I did like this octopus a lot better. So the sauce was good on the candied one in Santorini, but all you could taste was just that candied sauce, and that was it. So this particular one actually had, like, I was hoping for some kind of like an exotic seafood type flavor from, an octopus, and that's what I got with this one. It tasted much more octopus. Oh, better be careful how you say that. Octopus with a Y at the end. I didn't realize how that would sound coming out until I thought in my head. Anyway, so this tasted more like that good stuff. So anyway, this was my dinner. I wanted to order something to go with it because, like, I just got this bowl of soup, and this bowl of soup is like this big. It is not a big bowl, and it's like that deep. But this is the most dense, I can't even call it soup I've ever eaten in my life. So that's bread sitting on top, and underneath it, I think is some kind of beef stew. It's some kind of a Greek dish, because I asked somebody, one of the locals, like, hey, what is traditional, like, give me a list of, like, good traditional Greek foods that I should try out. And this was one of the items on that list. I didn't know what I was ordering. He kind of tried to explain it to me a little bit, but anyways, like, yeah, sounds good. I'm gonna try that, because I was just reading off items on the list. He's like, we have that one. So this is what I got, and I was stuffed to the gills. I couldn't even finish it. I was afraid that I was going to be hungry. I got probably about halfway to 2/3 of the way through, and could not eat anymore. And then everybody else got salad and spaghetti and some basic stuff. I was the only one who was like super adventurous and trying all the weird garbage, but it was great. I was so happy. As a general rule, if I'm traveling out of the country, if I can eat it in America, I will not eat it. So, as a general rule, I only eat it if I can only eat it in their country. We got, pretty sure this was flan, but it was some kind of, what's that? There was some kind of a thingy on top. I believe it was tomato, but I really want to say that's not right. It was some kind of a something or other, but it was really good, and I wanted so badly to eat it because, as you can see, like, I was getting to be a little bit of a chunkster, so it's starting to fill out my belly region a little bit at this point in life. So it was definitely all about eating all the desserts. This one was pretty good, but I can't remember what was on top. It was some kind of a fruit, I think, or some super exotic fruit I've never heard of, and I just forget. But I think it might have been like a tomato. It's probably not right. Terrible photo. This was...
Are you ready?
Yep, doing the octopus for the first time ever. Oh, that's right. I convinced her to eat it, because she was like adamantly against, like, no, not gonna eat octopus. Yeah. So Candace liked it. She thought it was good.
Well, chewy.
Yeah. I mean, it's extra cheese. You know how they say.
I got a lot of lemon in that.
Oh, yes, please left on there.
Right.
So anyway, super, like, dared her, kept putting her up, like, all the peer pressure, like, you've got to do this, you've got to do it. So eventually she succumbed. This was some kind of a Greek liquor. I don't remember what it was, and I remember that it was not as terrible as I was expecting it to be. It wasn't great, but it was good. I think some of the locals are like, this liquor is bad, but it's like a Greek staple, so you have to try it. So I tried it, and it was fine. It was okay. This was the end of the evening. I think this is our last night in Old City as well. Yeah, I think we only stayed at the Airbnb for one night. I don't think we did 2 nights, but yeah, I remember that because we hung out in Old City all day and then left that night to go to Athens and then pass out of the hotel in Athens. But anyway, we played a 4-player game of Santorini. So Candace and I had played it by ourselves on the rooftop in Santorini, and then we're like, hey, let's let's hang out in front of the ruins and play this game because it's a super fun game. And we did guys versus girls, and I'm an avid board gamer. And Candace is also into board games, but not nearly as avid as I am. Casey I think is a non-gamer, and her dad like super does not play games at all. And it was guys against girls. And the girls whooped us. Like it was really impressive. I was incredibly impressed with how well they did and outperformed us and beat us. I was very proud. I think I was wanting. Oh, I turned on the bath so I could show you. I didn't know I was gonna. When I took this photo, I had no idea I was gonna be showing these videos these photos in video form. I took a picture of this so I could remember how it came out. So you turn the faucet and the water came out of these little stone holes. It also had a little arm thingy, and you could like spray yourself. It's pretty neat. I almost wanted to take a shower in it, but instead I did the regular shower. So this is the same angle from the night before, two nights before, of that staircase. So top of the staircase, taking a picture down. You couldn't go on top of the roof at the time because they had just painted it. So that was still curing, or they just cemented it or something. Anyway, you couldn't walk on it because something was curing or hardening or drying or something like that. So anyway, this is our hangout spot in the morning. Just on the other side of that wrought iron fence, that was the street to go out into town. This place is so amazing. I really, really like this place. I couldn't get enough of it. Like, I kept taking more photos. Like, gosh, this place is so cool. Such a great Airbnb. Best Airbnb I've ever been to in my life. The mother of the hostess, she's the one that I think she and her daughter purchased it, and they kind of co-run it. But the mother came out and checked in on us, like, hey, how'd you like your stay and whatnot? And we're like, oh, man, it was fantastic. She's like, yeah, usually we get parties of like 8 or 12 that rent this place out. So it's kind of surprising that only 4 people showed up. But it was great. We had the whole run to ourselves. And then they gave us a whole bunch of pointers like, oh, if you're going out to Old Town, you got to go here. And they gave us a map and kept drawing little dots and putting notes next to the dots of like places to go check out and see and great places to visit and eat and all this kind of stuff. And it was super great. So wonderful hostess. All right, so she was, as we were leaving, she's like, yeah, if you guys ever come back to Old City, just think of us and come back out. And you're like, oh yeah, sure, we will. Most people say that don't typically mean that, but I really meant that. I would like to go to Greece again this time. Last time we did a counterclockwise trip around the islands, or a clockwise trip around the islands. This time I want to do a counterclockwise trip in the inland area and go to Crete and drive across Crete for like a day. And if there's time, maybe go back to Rhodes. I always want to explore new things, but I would totally return to this place. I really, really wish we would have spent another day or two, probably 2 days in Rhodes. So anyway, this is us actually going into the city of Rhodes, or city of Old City, going Old Town. Checking out the city of Old Town. That's not easy to say. And everywhere you look, there's just all this really mind-boggling, like, cool stuff. So this was just an inn on the other side. Like, if you look that way, like 90 degrees, there's the entrance to the inn. But I guess this particular inn takes care of this little botanical garden right outside their front door. But this was not far from our Airbnb. This looks like a really amazing inn, but I think our Airbnb was more amazinger. It was really nice. But this is alongside the inn, looking down the street. That's actually the path. That looks like a side alley, but that's the pathway we had to take to get to the rest of the town area. Gosh, yeah, there's so much cool stuff. So there's a bunch of garden type stuff around the walled portion, as well as inside the walled portion. We went to, I was just about to say this. So we found this little breakfast place that happened to be open. Not a whole lot of places were open by the time we got up and got rolling, which wasn't like super duper early. I think we got up at like 8 and we're rolling by 9. Like everything's packed up, cars loaded, and we're heading out 9 a.m. We walked everywhere. We didn't actually drive anywhere. But everywhere we went, we walked. But we found this one place that was just opening up, and had a what was it? A traditional Greek breakfast with fresh squeezed orange juice and Greek yogurt with fruit and Greek bread. And I got an egg. I didn't know that was part of it, but oh, and his wife made out of their garden preserves or jam or what's it called? Like jelly, basically jelly. But not jelly because that's something different. I think it's jam preserves. But anyway, put that on the toast and it was so good. I think it was like mango and I don't even really like mango, but it was such a good thing to eat. It was so tasty. So anyway, heading out and everywhere the shops were just starting to open up a little bit. And if you could picture walking around through this twisty, windy labyrinth with all these corners everywhere, and everything looked exactly like this. That's what the old city was like, Old Town. And it was just so neat. I didn't want to take like constant pictures, but I could easily take a breathtaking photo everywhere I went. Every corner that I turned, every turn that we took. It was just such an amazing place. So this is the main, it's not a square, just this main strip, their main road. If you can picture, what would the equivalent? So in Austin, Texas, they have South by Southwest, their big music festival that's located in this particular strip of Austin, Texas. That's basically what this was, not a festival. Actually, there was a mini festival going on. It was actually a big parade, which I'll get to later. But that was basically their equivalent of this area. And there are all these shops and boutiques everywhere. I think there's another place you could rent mules. I don't know if I got a picture of that one or not. But you could roll up and rent a mule and ride around Old Town, on muleback. But yeah, it was just all this neat stuff everywhere and all the different variety of stuff too. So in Lindos, it was mostly like ancient Greek architecture with a lot of like medieval flair and some Turkish flair as well. But everybody everywhere around here went in like deep into specific things. So this is like deep into European medieval history because the city was originally a European settlement from, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember who settled them. It was probably like England or one of those guys. Oh yeah, the Crusades. Derp. So yeah, it was definitely England. It's probably like Richard the Lionheart came to this place and built this place. Could be completely wrong on that, but I think I might be close. Anyway, a whole bunch of shops, a whole bunch of places to go check out. There are a couple tour guides walking around, and I accidentally photobombed the picture I was trying to take. But this is kind of the long stretch to get out of the walled portion of the city and into the rest of the, I guess, more modernized portion. So where most of your everyday Greek people live, that's where they were at. And then we're trying to get to the actual castle itself because there is another Acropolis, just like everywhere in Greece. The highest point in the city is the Acropolis, and that's where the whatever building's built. This particular Acropolis was a definitely more bona fide castle than the previous one. So we're finally arriving, and this is the more castle-esque type area. This is the entryway to get into that particular spot. And this is a well. And I was thinking the deep thoughts at this point in time. So everywhere we were just walking, and then there's this one car that decided to drive into the middle of the walkway area to bust a U-turn. So I took a picture of him. That's like, come on, you a-hole. All right, so this is the parade. I'm not sure how these people feel about having their picture taken and posted on the internet, so might zip through this pretty quick. Also, I think I want to wrap up. Oh, yeah, it's been right at an hour. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and stop here. The next and final stream, I'll be going through the parade, the castle, and then Athens. So I think that'll probably be a good wrap up. Maybe I'll have a guest on. I got 2 different people that I'm talking to, see if they will join me for that. If not, no big deal. I have plenty to talk about. I'm also debating having one more Greek stream to just make sure that I get some kind of guest on before I jump into the deep end on what the channel's gonna really be about. I'd like to have one more casual, relaxed one before, just dedicate to one topic, because one of my passions is travel. I really, really enjoy travel. So this is a good excuse to talk about it as much as I can, because after this, I don't think I want to talk about it much more. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Again, that's part of the surprise. But for now, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you next time. Next time will be Thursday at 4. All right, later.